You ever get that feeling that there are like two different people arguing inside your head? One that's super fast and just goes with its gut, and another one that's way more slow and careful. Well, today, we're going to meet them. We're diving into the incredible ideas from Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking, Fast and Slow.
All right, let's kick things off with a quick puzzle. Don't overthink it. Just what's the very first answer that pops into your head? Go with that.
If you thought 10 cents, hey, you're in great company. That's what most students at places like Harvard and Princeton say too. It's an intuitive answer, right? It feels right. It's like your brain just served it up to you on a silver platter. But the correct answer is actually 5 cents. Yeah, think about it for a second. If the ball is 5 cents and the bat is $1 more, so $1.05, that adds up to $1.10. So what just happened there? Why was your brain so quick to give you the wrong answer and with so much confidence?
Well, to get to the bottom of that, we have to meet the two main characters who are basically running the show in your mind. Kahneman calls them System 1 and System 2. Now, these aren't, actual physical parts of your brain. Think of them more as two personalities that help us understand how we think.
So these two systems, they have really distinct personalities, and they're always interacting inside your head. You could almost think of one as the impulsive action hero of our story, and the other one as its super powerful but kind of lazy sidekick.
System 1 is your gut reaction. It's that automatic, effortless thinking. It's what lets you know someone's angry just from their tone of voice, or how you can answer 2 plus 2 without even trying. It reads words on a billboard. It completes the phrase bread and... It's basically a machine for jumping to conclusions.
And then you've got System 2. This is your conscious, reasoning self. It's slow, it takes a lot of effort, and it's what you use for complex stuff, like trying to figure out 17 times 24. It's the part of you that could have double-checked the math on that bat and ball puzzle. But here's the thing about System 2. It's lazy. It would much rather just trust whatever System 1 tells it.
So here's the partnership, and this is so crucial. System 1 is constantly throwing out these quick suggestions, gut feelings, intuitions, impressions. And our conscious self, the lazy System 2, usually just nods along. It accepts those suggestions without really questioning them. Most of the time this works great. It's super efficient. But it's also the root of a lot of our predictable mistakes. So what happens when our lazy System 2 just blindly trusts System 1's gut feeling? Well, it can lead to these predictable errors in judgment, what psychologists call biases. Let's see another one in action. Okay, listen to this description of a guy named Steve. He's very shy and withdrawn, invariably helpful, a meek and tidy soul. He has a need for order and structure. Now, before you even have a chance to think, your System 1 is already forming a picture, right? It's jumping to a conclusion. That description just screams librarian. What's happening here is something called the representativeness heuristic. It's a mental shortcut. Your mind just compares the description of Steve to a stereotype you have of a librarian, and it's a perfect match. The story feels right, it's coherent. But this shortcut has a major blind spot. See, your System 1 completely, totally ignored a critical piece of information, a statistical fact that your lazy System 2 didn't even bother to ask for. And that fact is, in the United States, there are more than 20 male farmers for every 1 male librarian.
So even with that personality profile, the sheer odds make it overwhelmingly likely that Steve is a farmer. Your gut feeling, your fast-thinking System 1 got completely fooled by a really compelling story. It just ignored the cold, hard, and maybe less interesting numbers.
Now, this whole internal dynamic, it doesn't just apply to fun little brain teasers. It fundamentally shapes how you feel about risk, about money, and about some of your biggest life decisions.
This is the core idea of something called prospect theory, and it's the work that actually won Kahneman a Nobel Prize. It points to a deep, fundamental truth about our minds. We are absolutely wired to avoid pain way more than we're wired to seek pleasure.
Think about it like this. The frustration you feel from losing $100 is psychologically way more powerful than the happiness you get from gaining that exact same amount. For most of us, the emotional sting of a loss is about twice as intense as the joy of an equivalent gain.
And this explains so much of our seemingly irrational behavior, doesn't it? It's why we're sometimes afraid to take smart risks when things are going pretty well. But it's also why we might take a really foolish gamble just to avoid admitting a definite loss. Kind of like a gambler desperately trying to win their money back at the casino.
So, after all this, what's the big takeaway? We can't just get rid of System 1. And honestly, we wouldn't want to. It's what helps us navigate the world without having to think about every single little thing. But what we can do is learn when to slow down and wake up our lazy system 2.
The trick is really to train your system 2 to be a better watchdog. So first, learn to recognize the signs of a mental trap, like when an answer feels way too easy, but the stakes are actually high. That's your signal to deliberately slow down. Ask yourself, am I just falling for a good story here? Or have I actually looked at the real statistics, the base rates, that my gut instinct is so good at ignoring?
Okay, this leads us to one final, truly fascinating concept that might just change how you think about your own life and what actually makes you happy.
Kahneman says there are two different selves inside us. You have the experiencing self, that's the one that lives your life moment to moment, feeling every bit of pain and pleasure. And then you have the remembering self. This is the storyteller. It keeps score, it edits your memories into neat little narratives, and it's the one that makes all your big life decisions.
But here's the really crazy part. Your remembering self is a terrible reporter. It completely ignores how long an experience actually lasts. This is called duration neglect. Instead, it just averages two things: the most intense moment, the peak, and how the whole thing ended. So you can have a week-long amazing vacation, but if it ends with a terrible delayed flight, your remembering self might file the whole trip away as a bad vacation.
And what this means is that the you making the decisions, your remembering self, might be sacrificing the actual moment-to-moment happiness of the you who's living your life, all for the sake of having a better story to tell later.
So it really leaves us with this provocative final question to chew on. Who's actually in charge of your happiness? The self that lives your life, or the self that just tells the stories about it? And is it telling you the whole truth?